Have you ever stopped to think about the power of a single moment? A moment so small, so seemingly insignificant, that it passes by in the blink of an eye? Think about a time when you offered a smile to a stranger who looked lost, or a time you gave up your seat on a crowded bus. We do these things without a second thought, right? We don't expect a statue to be built in our honor or a parade to be thrown in our name. We do it because, for that fleeting second, we are connected by a thread of simple humanity. But what if I told you that in that single, unremarkable moment, you could be setting in motion a chain of events that would echo through decades? What if that one act of kindness was not just a drop in the ocean, but the pebble that starts an avalanche of change? The story I am about to share is about a glass of milk. Just a glass of milk. But inside that glass was a promise that would span a lifetime, and a lesson in the power of compassion that we all need to hear. Before we continue, if you believe that kindness can change someone's destiny, please take a second to like this video, subscribe to my tales, and share it with someone who still believes in second chances. We would also love to know where you're watching from, because every comment reminds us that compassion connects people from every corner of the world. It was a cold, drizzly afternoon in the heart of a bustling city. The streets were slick with rain, reflecting the gray sky above. People hurried past, their collars turned up, their faces buried in their own worries. And there, standing in front of a small, warm-looking diner, was a little girl. Her name was Lily. Her clothes were patched and worn, her shoes were thin, and her face was pale with a hunger that went beyond just a missed meal. She was shivering, not just from the cold, but from a deep, hollow emptiness in her stomach. She pressed her tiny, grubby hand against the glass of the diner window, watching as a family sat inside, laughing, the steam from their bowls of soup fogging the glass. Her eyes were wide, full of a longing so pure it was painful to watch. She was just a child, trying to survive in a world that seemed to have forgotten her. Just as she was about to turn away, her shoulders slumped in defeat. A man stepped out of the diner. He was tall, impeccably dressed in a fine wool coat, his shoes polished to a perfect shine. He was a man of obvious wealth, with a confident stride and a face etched with the responsibilities of his business empire. His name was Arthur Sterling. Arthur Sterling was a millionaire, a titan of industry. He owned factories, shipping lines, and vast tracts of land. He was a man who thought in terms of profits and losses, of assets and liabilities. On this particular day, he was consumed with a high-stakes business deal that could make or break his company. His mind was a whirlwind of numbers and contracts. But when his eyes met Lily's, something in his carefully constructed world shifted. He saw past the dirty face and the ragged clothes. He saw a frightened child, a soul that was on the verge of giving up. For a moment, the weight of his own world lifted, and he saw only a human being in need. He didn't hesitate. He walked back inside the diner. Arthur placed the order himself. He asked for the biggest glass of fresh, cold milk they had and a warm, buttered roll. The counterman, a bit surprised to see such a wealthy man caring for a street urchin, quickly prepared it. Arthur walked out of the diner, the glass and plate in his hands. He knelt down on the wet pavement, not caring at all that his expensive trousers were getting soiled. He looked into the little girl's eyes, a warm smile softening his stern features. "Here you go, little one," he said, his voice gentle. Lily stared at him, completely bewildered. She had been given scraps before. She had been yelled at and shooed away. But no one had ever bought her a proper meal. This is for me," she whispered, her voice trembling as much as her hands. "It is," Arthur confirmed. In a split second, the dam of her resilience broke. She took the glass of milk with both hands, as if it were the most precious treasure in the world, and drank it slowly, reverently. The nourishment seemed to flow back into her soul, chasing away the cold. She ate the roll in small bites, not wanting to waste a single crumb. When she was finished, she looked up at this kind stranger. She had nothing to give him in return. No money, no material possession. But she had her word. "Sir," she said, her voice clear and strong despite her situation. "I'll pay you back when I grow up." Arthur Sterling was a man who had heard countless promises in the boardroom, promises of delivery dates, profit margins, and financial returns. Many of them were empty. But this promise, made by a starving child on a rainy street corner, carried more weight than any corporate contract. It wasn't about the money. A glass of milk cost him a pittance. It was about the spirit. It was about the belief in a future. He just smiled at her, his eyes shining with unexpected hope. "I know you will," he said. He stood up, patted her gently on the head, and walked away, leaving Lily with a full belly and a heart full of gratitude. That single glass of milk became the foundation upon which Lily built her life. She never forgot Arthur Sterling's face or his kindness. She was determined to honor her promise. She got a job, saved every penny, and eventually put herself through medical school. Every late night of study, every moment of doubt, she was fueled by that one memory. She was going to become a doctor, not for fame or fortune, but so she could help others the way she had been helped. She wanted to be the person who provided the glass of milk to someone who was lost. Almost 3 decades later, the city had changed, and so had Lily. She was Dr. Lily Evans, a brilliant and highly respected physician. Her dedication was legendary, and her compassion for her patients was unparalleled. One afternoon, as she was making her rounds, she stopped by a patient's bed in the intensive care unit. The patient was an elderly man, his face pale, surrounded by beeping machines. He was in critical condition, battling a rare and severe pneumonia. It was a difficult case. The patient's insurance had lapsed, and his family was unable to cover the mounting medical costs. He was a stranger in the city, a wealthy man whose empire had crumbled years ago, and he was now facing this final battle alone. His name, according to the chart, was Arthur Sterling. Dr. Evans paused. The name was unfamiliar to the other doctors, but to her, it was a blast from the past. Lily stepped closer and gently took the man's hand. His face was lined with age and hardship, but there was no mistaking him. It was the same man who had knelt in the rain to give her milk. Tears welled in her eyes. She immediately took charge of his case. She coordinated with the finest specialists, she worked tirelessly on a treatment plan, and she made sure he received the best care the hospital could offer. She refused to let him give up. Days turned into weeks. Finally, after a particularly intense surgical procedure, Arthur Sterling began to recover. He slowly opened his eyes, disoriented and weak. The moment Lily saw he was awake, she knew it was time. She walked to his bedside, a soft smile on her face. Arthur Sterling, still confused, looked at her with foggy eyes. "Am I dead?" he croaked. "No, sir," Lily said, her voice warm. "You're alive. And you're going to be just fine." Arthur was confused. "But the bills. I don't have the money. My business." Dr. Evans pulled a chair up to his bedside and sat down. She took out a piece of paper from the file she was holding. It was an old, faded bill from the diner from over 30 years ago. "Mr. Sterling," she began, her voice steady. "Do you remember a rainy day many years ago? A little girl outside a diner?" Arthur frowned, trying to focus. "A little girl? I don't." "You bought her a glass of milk," Lily said, her voice barely above a whisper. "And a buttered roll." Arthur's eyes widened. He stared at her. The memory slowly surfaced, like a treasure rising from a deep sea. He saw the dirty face, the desperate eyes, the trembling hands. He saw the little girl who had promised to pay him back. You're her," he stammered. "Yes," Lily said, nodding. "I am." She placed the old bill on the bed and pulled out a long, official-looking document from her file. It was a medical bill, representing the entire cost of his treatment. "The cost of your treatment here at this hospital," she said, "is $250,000. Arthur's face paled. He knew he couldn't pay that. He started to protest, to apologize for his inability to settle his debt. But Dr. Evans held up a hand to silence him. "Sir," she said, her voice filled with a profound tenderness, "you don't owe me a thing. You see, I promised you I would pay you back. And I believe I have, with interest." With a gentle smile, she took out her pen, flipped over the bill, and wrote a single line across the bottom. She then turned it around for Arthur to see. "Paid in full, with interest, for a lifetime of kindness." "You see, Mr. Sterling," she continued, "the price of a glass of milk 30 years ago was a few cents. But the value of that one act of kindness, the value of restoring my faith in humanity, that debt has been compounding every single day for the last 30 years. And my interest on that debt is this: the chance to save your life, just like you saved mine." Tears streamed down Arthur Sterling's old, weary face. He had gone through life thinking his kindness was a small, meaningless gesture. He had saved a child a lifetime ago, and that child had just returned the favor, not with money, but with her life's work. You see, a little kindness never really disappears. It's like a ripple in a pond. You throw a small stone, and the ripples travel outward, touching shores you never even knew existed. That small act of love performed by a busy millionaire didn't just fill a little girl's stomach that day, it filled her soul with purpose. It created a doctor who would go on to save thousands of lives. That's the magic of it. One small kindness can be the spark that lights a fire that burns for generations. So today, I want to challenge you. When you see a need, no matter how small, don't walk past it. A smile, a few encouraging words, a helping hand. You never know whose destiny you are changing. If this story touched your heart, please don't just keep it to yourself. Share it. Be the reason someone believes in second chances. And in the comments below, tell us, have you ever been the Arthur Sterling in someone's life? Or have you ever been Lily? As always, this is My Tales, reminding you that every heart has a story, and every story has the power to change the world. If you haven't already, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss a tale that can warm your soul. And if this story reminded you of someone, share it with them right now. Thank you for watching, and remember, today, you could be someone's miracle. Take care, and we'll see you in the next story.